Good evening, everybody, again. Thank you, Matteo, for joining us. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to National Test Pilot School Summer Graduation Ceremony. A special welcome to who's joining us virtually via YouTube. Whether you're a friend, family, colleague, supporter, thank you for coming tonight, logging in around the world to share these important milestones for our soon-to-be graduate. My name is Luca Campello. I'm the honor of serving as the president of National Test Pilot School. I'll be the host of this evening, and as we celebrate the achievement of these exceptional students. Now that the formality has been completed, we turn to the true highlights of the evening, honoring the hard work, dedication, and accomplishment of our graduates. First, let me take a couple of minutes to reflect on the journey NTPS have taken over the last couple of years. In 2022, NTPS began a major transformation, starting with the change of leadership and the acquisition of flight research assets. This marking a beginning on a bold new chapter at NTPS School. Since then, we had a significant investment in different areas, for expanding our team, world-class instructor, for enhancing our aircraft maintenance and infrastructure, upgrading our simulator aero fleet to meet the new demand in flight test training, and to strengthen our collaboration with some of the best organizations in the United States, starting from Gulfstream, Dedalium, Fast Level Engineering, NASA, California Polytechnic, Politecnico di Torino, National Research Center from Italy, and Canada. In 2024 and now in 25, we are starting to see the result of this changing. We have a truly outstanding pool of instructors and maintainers. Our simulator room is finally full. Top of the class simulator will help us train the best test pilot and flight test engineer. And this year, our students had the opportunity to go beyond our curriculum in-house systems. They train with Gulfstream, the global leader in business jet flight test. For the first time, they experienced the NASA vertical motion simulator Ames Research Center, the world's largest and most advanced flight simulator with a high fidelity testing for experimental aircraft and spacecraft design. And this is just the beginning. In 2025, more stuff will come. None of this would be possible without NTPS employees, with the hard work and dedication, most of the time behind the scene. Thank you very much. However, this NTPS continuous improvement is not only driven by our strategic work and dedication, but most of the time, but also by the student himself. Every day, our students challenge our knowledge, question our assumption, bring fresh perspective into the classroom and the aircraft. Their curiosity, competence, determination to push us to be a better test pilot, educator, and flight test engineer. You're a vital part of our growth. We are very grateful of the energy and the insight that you bring every day to NTPS mission. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Colonel Todd Erickson. Please, if you can join me. I'm going to give you a very, very short version of his curriculum. It's impressive. It was 5 pages long. So he graduated in 1991 for U.S. Air Force Academy with a bachelor's degree in aeronautic engineering. He was the top of the class in several classes, including the NJAP basic training as a pilot. And also, he was a top of the graduate Empire Test Pilot School when he graduated as a test pilot. In the Air Force, among all the programs, Colonel Erickson conduct envelope expansion, high-OA departure, engine tests on all the model F-16. And also, he conducted several classified testing. In 2014, he joined Virgin Galactic. He flew Y-92, and he oversees all the safety expert of including Space 2 test program. He is a key role also in developing the Launcher One program from the concept in 2014 to the first successful air launch in 2021. He served as a mission director of Inspiration 4 and Polaris Dawn, culminating with the first flight, a human flight aboard a SpaceX starships. He's a fellow of Society of Experimental Test School, and also is a former president. He has a master in aerospace engineering and also the master in strategic study. Logged more than 11,000 hours, over 140 aircraft types, and currently he serves as a presidentially appointed role as a senior advisor for NASA administrator, and also president of FTR that he founded in 2008. Well, and that's only a short version.
Wow. I'm short, so I'll have to move this down as well. Let's see how that stands. But faculty, distinguished guests, graduating students, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for the honor of being here to be able to speak to you on such an auspicious evening. It only seems like yesterday that Volker and I were sitting at our McKenna dinner at Empire Test Pilot School. It was truly a highlight of our careers, and one that I know Mary Beth and I will always cherish. But in British tradition, you remember, you were allowed one guest, and I'm very pleased that that tradition is not the case here tonight. It's a great opportunity for me to welcome the friends and family that have made the journey to the Antelope Valley. And for those of you new to the Antelope Valley, yes, it does seem like the end of the earth. It's not the end of the earth, but you can sure see it from here. So, but welcome. My test pilot school experience in Volker's was not too different than yours. Not only was the course itself difficult, but I know the challenges you and your family faced over this last year, most all of you who did this in a foreign country. For me, I pitched up just prior to Christmas, my wife and I with the newborn son. 2 nights later, literally, we found ourselves with a Boscombe Down police escort on the way to the Salisbury Hospital because I had a severe respiratory infection I acquired on the way over from Italy. I thought my flight test career was over before it even began. And while not a great way to make an impression with your new boss, I still remember and appreciate the graciousness of the boss, Dave and Dawn Bess, showing up at our home with a ham so we could have a proper Christmas dinner in the UK. But that was our first introduction to the flight test family. It's a worldwide family that you are now officially joining this evening. My shaky beginning was followed by countless long days and even longer nights, as you guys all know, to be here tonight. And I am certain that I would not have made it through the course without my wife's, Mary Beth's, support. Mary Beth, if she was here tonight, would insist that she would not have made it through without the support of other spouses, partners, and friends in our class, our squadrons, and our companies that follow. So if you are here as a guest of a graduate, please let me first thank you for all that you have done to make this night possible for them. While your sacrifices are often unnoticed and are always underappreciated, they are vital to our success. So on behalf of us, thank you, please. So in preparation for this evening, I did actually go back and look through a few of my old course reports. A couple things amazed me. First, how poorly written my long stab report was. The second was how much red ink my instructor, Reese Williams, used to clearly communicate that point back to me. After all, as an Air Force guy, I thought I would have been awarded a medal for such a thesis, but Reese thought I was doing well to deserve the high mark of unsatisfactory. And after speaking to some of the students, I know how little things have changed here in the community, which is a great thing. But for tonight, it really does feel like a little bit like defending my end of course preview report all over again. And that feeling wasn't really helped when I saw Hooter disseminating some grade sheets around the organization. So anyway, I hope I get good marks. But this graduation reflects a real turning point in the lives of each graduate. Each of you are joining an extremely elite club, a club whose members are measured in thousands against a worldwide population counted in the billions. You are leaving here as graduates of a renowned and highly respected test pilot school, recognized by the Society of Experimental Test Pilots for its rigor and quality. You leave equipped with very specialized and unique tool sets that will allow you to discern issues and propose solutions that a year ago you weren't even capable of understanding, let alone communicating effectively. As you join the unique fraternity, I want to focus my remaining remarks on just what I consider the three most important attributes of a test pilot or a flight test engineer. Topics that are often lost amidst the hectic year of academics, flying, and reporting. I would submit that these are the qualities that set flight test professionals apart from the amateurs. And they are simply experience, judgment, and integrity. While each of these could be a full talk in its own right, I'll attempt in these brief moments to summarize and maybe provide a catalyst for further discussions at the bar tonight. So succinctly, your role as a test pilot or FTE is to collect data and translate and interpret the meaning of those data. You are the bridge between the engineers developing a vehicle and the men and women who are destined to operate it. Your job is to ensure whatever aerospace vehicle you're testing does what it's supposed to do within an acceptable level of risk. That is, that it's fit for purpose. But despite our best efforts to quantify them, both of these assessments are ultimately subjective in nature. To make a reliable assessment, however, you must have experience. You must be credible in the end task in order to assess whether something is actually fit for purpose. You have to have judgment. You must be able to discern the wheat from the chaff so that you can focus on what matters and what doesn't matter. This is as applicable to safety as it is to technical issues. And then integrity. Above all, you need to be honest with yourself and, most importantly, honest with the end user. After all, your true customers are the men and women who will operate and or travel in the vehicles you test. A mentor of mine often reminded me that all of one's experiences and judgment comes from one's bad experiences and bad judgments, and that you only really learn something if it costs you. While humorous, his point is that both developing experience, justice, and judgment is an active process, and it doesn't occur overnight. This last year was your first step in building in that journey, both coalescing your previous experiences and building on new ones, while also developing a framework to make prudent judgments about the tasks and vehicles you evaluate. Hindsight is always black and white in 2020, no matter how wise we think ourselves, the future is always very gray and ambiguous. Building judgment and experience requires the responsibility to make decisions. So along those lines, I distinctly remember my first crew solo flight in the mighty Jaguar. So for those of you who have not had the pleasure of flying her, the rumors are indeed true. She has two engines because she does not fly on one. She was an exemplar of how not to accomplish human factors engineering. And most importantly, she only got airborne because the earth is curved. So on this particular morning, the weather was IMC at Boscombe Downs, 700-foot ceiling. My FTE and I briefed the sortie with the expectation that the flying supervisor was going to make the decision to cancel us. I was quite surprised when I finished up the step brief and heard a cheeky, "Well, don't screw it up." So instead of being able to abdicate the go/no decision to somebody else, it now sat squarely in my lap, and rightly so. I was responsible for both my safety and that of my fellow FTE. The weather was marginal. I had only flown the aircraft a handful of times. I was in a foreign country with different rules and procedures, but it was now my decision. So I went and decided to go flying with a sober understanding of the risks, the responsibility, the benefits, and my capabilities. And that's really what made all the difference. I would have been equally justified that day to not fly. That said, my airmanship grew 100-fold that day, not because I flew, but because I was given the freedom and the responsibility to exercise my own judgment in a matter of true importance. Remember that. You and the members of your flight test team will be operating in the unknown. That's the nature and the challenge and the excitement of experimental and developmental flight test. You've built the foundation while here at National. It's certainly been a difficult year. The diverseness of the types that you've flown, varied techniques to gather the same data, and technical education have given you unique insights on how to do things better at your home organizations. These are things that cannot be well learned in the span of a couple flights or of a short course. Empire's motto of learn to test and test to learn implies first learning from the mistakes of those who have gone before you. There's nothing worse in this business than a lesson relearned. I challenge you to join and be active in your local sections of the Society of Experimental Test Pilots or the Society of Flight Test Engineers. Continue to learn about your profession. It doesn't end here. And take an active role in making it better. Your lives may literally depend on it. And then never forget that you, those of us who fly and test aerospace vehicles, are always the final arbiter in all safety matters. Continue developing this experience and judgment to make sound decisions. While this profession is indeed for the bold and not for the timid, it is equally not for the reckless. The value of your judgment and experience is significant and often will determine the difference between program success and program failure. This was true in the development of Virgin Orbit's small satellite launch program, Launcher One, which I had the great fortune of being part of the team from initial conception through flying the left seat for the first orbital launch of the rocket. In that role, I was actually able to bring judgment and experience from other platforms to the current one, to better the current one. For example, timing techniques from National Intercollegiate Flying Association cross-country competitions in the mighty Cessna 150 allowed me and our team to meet a plus or minus 5-second release timing using only standard onboard aircraft equipment and a simple iPad app. The 30-degree gamma launch release maneuver was adapted from my F-16 stores release experience to an aircraft never designed to be in that situation. We used standby trim in the 747 to initiate the pull to 30 degrees, which was adapted from our Spaceship Two experience to allow for a consistent, repeatable, and deterministic maneuver. The recovery maneuver itself, 60 to 90 degree angles of bank at 37,000 feet and well below 747 stall speed, had its roots in the Lazy Eights I flew in the Stitz Playboy my dad and I built way back in the day. The point is, the list is similar for other programs. Providing new insights, paradigm shifts, and capabilities is your value. Test pilot and FTE judgment, your experience, are the essential perspectives in any program that you're going into. So that brings me to integrity. And this is what I would say is the single most important attribute of a flight test professional. You will come across decisions in your future programs that will test your integrity. That's the nature of the business. My first test came about a year after I graduated Empire while at the F-16 Combined Test Force just up the street at Edwards Air Force Base. These continue to that day. And that program, as a means to increase range, Lockheed Martin had developed 600-gallon external fuel tanks for the F-16 for foreign military. The initial testing of those tanks resulted in a restriction that prevented carriage above 0.8 Mach below 10,000 feet due to longitudinal handling qualities issues. The restriction essentially prohibited LM Aero from selling its tanks to the Air Force as well as other customers. So a new test program was undertaken to determine if we had a more forward center of gravity with these tanks, might that yield acceptable handling qualities? I was assigned as the project pilot. The quick summary was the presence of the large tanks created a distinct and rapid reduction in maneuvering stability at transonic speeds and low altitudes that led to a high PIO susceptibility and an over-G tendency during pullout from nominal weapons delivery maneuver. Extremely out of family from the nominal F-16 and not good with an air-to-air ground platform. Interestingly, the LM company pilot found it, as I quote, mildly objectionable but satisfactory, whereas I found it unacceptable and not fit for purpose. The difference in those assessments was our role relation. As you can imagine, there was tremendous amount of programmatic pressure for me to change my point of view. Fortunately, I had the judgment and the experience to be credible and fully understand the consequences of this deficiency in the field, what it really meant to the customer, the second lieutenant in combat, and was able to communicate that risk effectively. The restriction now stands and remains in the F-16 manual to this day. The second one occurred in the spring of 2019 when I was both a test pilot and the vice president and safety of test for Virgin Galactic. In my VP role, I was the designated safety official for all aspects of the Spaceship Two launch license, responsible for all the operational safety. So for those not familiar, for perspective, in 2019, Galactic was at least 5 years beyond their stated goals of regular suborbital flights. The company was hemorrhaging capital and every month, and the Virgin Group, the primary investor at the time, was desperately looking for ways to stop the bleeding. At the time, the only hope was to take the company public in order to raise as much capital, much needed capital, but also to allow the Virgin Group to recover their large losses over the past years, a goal that it did achieve in October of 2019. But the other part of the business plan required beginning commercial operations as soon as possible, and thus significantly cutting the planned developmental flight test work. Which brings us to the February 2019 flight test. This is planned to be only the second full duration engine burn of the vehicle, with the additional objective of adding a passenger to test the cabin environment and demonstrate a path to commercial operations. I was fundamentally opposed to adding a passenger for this flight due to the state of the vehicle's development, but was willing to acquiesce to having a trained test pilot or flight test engineer in the cabin if indeed the true objective was to evaluate the cabin environment. Management insisted on the chief astronaut trainer, an employee with no test and evaluation experience, a track record of failed performance on the interiors program, and who happened to be the spouse of the company president, to be the one for that flight. This presented an ethical dilemma. And in an attempt to resolve it, I presented my concerns to all levels of company leadership, as well as our independent review board. While the board agreed with my assessment, the company management did not. The issue came to a head in January meeting with the board of directors. While I could clearly articulate the benefits of a test pilot or flight test engineer on the sortie and the lost opportunity by not choosing to have one to evaluate, I could not provide a compelling objective safety case as to why a test pilot or a flight test engineer was required in the back. In the end, the board ended up siding with management, and the decision was made to proceed with the unqualified trainer as a passenger. So externally, the mission was a success. You probably heard it as such. It was a full duration burn, and the first time a passenger had been carried above 50 miles. Post-flight analysis, however, of the 22 February flight found an 80% delamination of the entire right horizontal stabilizer skin, the loss of which would have rendered the vehicle uncontrollable and likely resulted in the loss of all 3 crew members. Additional safety investigations yielded a bag of screws floating inside the left horizontal stabilizer, missing structural fasteners on vehicle panels, FOD inside the control system, and pencil whiffing of the required in-process quality assurance inspections, and so on. In short, we narrowly averted disaster. So the question became, how do you move forward from that? Well, in the wake of the accident, the company firewalled all data related to the flight and limited discussions of the event to only a small subset of the organization, citing that it would be very bad if negative press got out prior to taking the company public. For me, this accident clearly defined what is far and away the most important attribute of any organization that you will be part of: culture. It's culture that ultimately defines success or failure. It's culture that ultimately defines acceptable levels of risk and ultimately safety. In our business, accidents and incidents will happen. Our culture defines how we handle these inevitabilities and how we move forward. I've seen at NASA how organizational culture catapulted one company to great success using less resources, and how culture failed the aspirations of another in an identical contract with the same objectives. At Virgin in 2019, culture failed us. The company was either unable or unwilling to, from my perspective, properly address the root causes of the accident. We needed to replace the director of maintenance. We needed to foster a culture of transparency. We needed to question but not defend. We needed to grasp the mountain of work required to take an experimental vehicle into commercial service. We needed to appreciate that the duty of care for a paying passenger is ultimately an order of magnitude or greater than that of a test pilot or a flight test engineer who fully understands the risks and the consequences of the endeavor during an experimental flight. So after speaking with the board of directors, I recognized that the company's focus was clearly on getting to its initial public offering, and it was not on addressing the technical and cultural issues, in my opinion, that needed to change prior to commercial operations. Continuing in my role at that time would have made me impotent in future risk discussions, and I ended up making the hardest decision of my professional career. I simultaneously resigned my position of Vice President of Safety and Test, and also gave up my childhood dream of flying in space. Now, I have not been involved with Galactic for years, and I certainly cannot attest to where the company is currently. It's my hope, however, that my words and actions did have some impact over the intervening years. That said, I am ultimately thankful to this day that I had the integrity to do what I believed was right, despite the personal consequences. My bottom line to you is that you will never regret an integrity-based decision, and I promise that you will have many to make as you go forward in your careers. I submit that it is these three fundamental attributes of a test professional that ultimately represent your value to the government or civil organization you're returning home to: your experience, your judgment, and your integrity. And the greatest of these is integrity. So in closing, I would simply like to say to all the graduates that I am actually and truly jealous of where you are sitting tonight. Bob Hoover told me the same thing when I met with him at an SETP event not long after my graduation. We actually closed down the bar one night discussing flight tests of old and new, and I was admittedly in awe of his experiences. I thought at the time he was just being kind to me, but I can tell you now tonight that he wasn't. While I fully understand that Bob forgot more about flight tests in his lifetime than I'll ever know, he was truly excited about the future of aerospace and the adventure that was before me, as I am for all of you tonight. Since Yuri Gagarin left the atmosphere literally 64 years ago, less than 700 humans in the history of humankind have seen the Earth from space. This will change, and you will be part of that transformation. You stand at the beginning of the second space age. As the DC-3 and other aircraft change the face of aviation between the wars, you'll be the ones who do the same thing for routine access to space, for hypersonic point-to-point transportation, eVTOL, and technologies that have still yet to be invented. I am very jealous indeed. Congratulations, Godspeed, and good luck in your new adventure. Thank you.
Todd. Oh, can you hear me? So, thank you very much for this fantastic space. And I'm going to steal the word that Steve said this morning to the staff, the instructor. I think Todd is perfect and lead example of integrity. He said something about his career, honest truth, and he has more stuff, but that's the example I think we need to follow when we talk about integrity. Thank you very much for your space to us. Thank you. Thank you. That's time. I would like to ask Matteo Brambilla, our chief flight instructor, and Vikram Sharma, our chief technical instructor, join me on the stage here. It's time to present the professional course graduates, 24 Bravo Test Pilot Flight Engineer course. Every student will receive a professional course graduation plaque and a certificate attesting the qualification as a test flight pilot, as a flight test engineer. Some professional graduates will receive also a distinguished graduate standing. To be distinguished graduate standing, the student must be on the top of the class, must be demonstrating an outstanding comprehension of the flight testing, and must have a GPA above 90%. So, Captain Janitra Atukakora, Royal Canadian Air Force Fixed Wing Test Pilot. First Lieutenant Lorenzo Comelli, Italian Air Force Fixed Wing Flight Test Engineer. Distinguished graduate. Mr. Sang Hwan Kim, Korea Space Industry, Rotary Wing Flight Test Engineer. Captain Ryan Andrew Lee, Australian Army, Rotary Wing Test Pilot. Major Christopher Plumbock Molager, Royal Danish Air Force Fixed Wing Test Pilot, Distinguished Graduate. Captain Gabriele Orsini, Royal Canadian Air Force, fixed wing flight test engineer. That's yours. Well, you can stay with us if you want.
Good job, Milton.
Mr. Kyusung Park, Korea Aerospace Industry, rotary wing test pilot. Good job. Mr. Sang-ho Park, Korean Aerospace Industry, rotary wing test pilot. First Lieutenant Ferdinando Prisco, Italian Air Force, fixed wing flight test engineer. Captain Jun San, Royal Canadian Air Force, rotary wing flight test engineer. Distinguished graduate. Twenty 2025 Alpha System Professional Course, Captain Francesco Del Petre, Italian Air Force fixed wing flight test engineer. Twenty-two 24 Bravo, Category 2 to Category 1 Bridge Course Professional Course, Mr. Lars Berg, Airbus Helicopters, rotary wing test pilot. Thank you, Matteo. And yes, thank you very much. We know who is you want to be a Hollywood star here. Now it's time for the Master of Science Diploma presentation. So I'd like to join me in Dr. Juan Rodriguez here on the stage with me, please. Our Chief Academic Officer. Captain Janitra Atukarola, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Mr. Lars Berg, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. First Lieutenant Lorenzo Comelli, Master in Flight Test Engineering. Mr. Colin James Duke, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Mr. Sang-Won Kim, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Captain Ryan Andrew Lee, Master of Science in Flight Test Evaluation. Ms. Anna Libnova, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Major Christopher Pomlock-Molliger, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Captain Gabriel Orsini, Master of Science Flight Test Evaluation. You can take it from here. Mr. Q Song Hark, Master of Science Flight Test Evaluation. Mr. Sang-Ho Park, Master of Science Flight Test Evaluation. First Lieutenant Ferdinando Prisco, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Captain Jia Jusong, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. For our US NTPS Master degree, Ms. Virginia Tig Mitchell, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Thank you, Juan. So we have a couple of people in Ascensia. Hopefully they are looking on YouTube. For Yazakat 1 Test Pilot Bridge Course, Professional Course Fixed Wing, Mr. Marcus Henderson from SAB Fixed Wing Test Pilot. We have Yazakat 1 Lead Flight Test Engineering Professional Course Short Wing. We have Mr. Tommaso Dindo, Leonardo Helicopters. And we have Mr. Alessandro Scola, Leonardo Helicopters, both rotary wing flight test engineer. In absentia for master degree graduates, we have Mr. Tommaso Dindo, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Mr. Ferdinand Wolfgang Walter Johannes Popp, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. Mr. Alessandro Scola, Master of Science in Flight Test Engineering. For our US NTPS Master degree, we have Mr. Brandon David Cannon, Master of Science in Flight Test Evaluation. And Mr. Matthew Allen Gross, Master of Science Flight Test Engineering. Jeff, could you please join me on the stage? So we're going to present our graduate awards. I'm going to start with the Ron Bradley Award for the Outstanding Flight Test Engineering Graduate. First Lieutenant Lorenzo Comelli. Someone else want the prize? John Bishop, Outstanding Test Pilot Graduate. Major Christopher Plumblick Mulliger. National Test Pilot School Flight Test Instrumentation Award, Mr. Sung Won Kim. As part of his capstone project, 4 motion inclinometer were installed in an AW119 helicopter, secured to the flight control the cabin using a Velcro strip. A custom Python script was developed to calibrate control position and to display real-time inceptor data. This innovative approach and coding improvement enabled the flight test engineering to continuously monitor control margins throughout the flight envelope, significantly enhancing data acquisition accuracy and situational awareness, particularly during lower speed test point and critical relative azimuths. Sounds good for Rosa. Then it's time for Lorenzo Comelli to share his thoughts.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, family and friends, staff and students of National Test Pilot School. It is with great honor that I stand before you tonight to deliver the graduation speech for NTPS Class 2024 Bravo. And what a year it has been. Today we celebrate the end of a long and tedious journey. We started all the way back in April of 2024, when the first students of this class landed at LAX. Most of us probably imagined California as sunny beaches and ocean breezes. But that idea quickly faded once we hit Highway 14. Endless desert, scorching heat, no rain, and the occasional snow. How are we going to survive 14 months here? And looking back at those times, I realized that maybe that was our first real test point, our first taste of what our experience at Test Pilot School would look like. Flight test, as we all know, is a dangerous business. It demands precision and dedication. It requires us to not only explore the limits of the flight envelope, but also our own personal limits. And if we're here tonight, it means that our hard work has paid off, that our dedication has earned us a spot in this small elite community of flight testers. An instructor once told us that there are no joyrides at NTPS. If you're on the aircraft, you're there for one single purpose, to collect that sweet data. And so, in true NTPS fashion, let's highlight some of 2024 Bravo's achievements through a few key numbers. 12 students from 6 different countries distributed across the entire world. A total of 1,568 flight hours, on 28 different types of aircraft, fixed and rotary wing. Close to 10,000 PowerPoint lecture slides, taking this concept of death by PowerPoint to a whole new level. Approximately 50 gallons of coffee, most of which drank by Vikrant and Matteo. 36 fudge ejection stories told at the most random and unrelated moment throughout the lectures. Plenty of acceptables that should have been unacceptables, terminates that should have been knock-it-offs, limitations that look like constraints, test plan that lack test planning, and mission impacts which just don't make sense. A lot of sweat, some tears, but most importantly, a ton of fun along the way. Before we continue tonight with our celebrations, it's only fitting that we first recognize what made all of this possible. And no, I'm not talking about ChatGPT or the exam gouge, which, by the way, Jedza, does not exist. I'm talking about the NTPS family, whose dedication and support have been the foundation of our journey. It's no coincidence I use the word family when talking about NTPS. Over this year, you've been more than instructors and support staff. You've been mentors, guides, and steady hands through the chaos that is the Test Pilot School curriculum. And obviously, I must start with the big three. Jeff Trang, also known as El Jefe, Luca Campello, and Stephen Hutter-Rainey. It is not an easy feat to manage such a wild group of people, and I'm not referring to the students. But over the course of the last year, your essential work done out of the spotlight has made this journey an outstanding learning experience for all of us. To Juan, our Chief Academic Officer, thank you for never giving up on us, even when the light was visibly fading from our eyes during the PNFQ lectures. Your patience and the smile you brought to every class made a real difference. To Fudge, our Chief of Academics, the man who practically owns the professional course. Summing you up in a few lines is no easy task. Your knowledge ranges from human factors to astrophotography and everything in between, and you're always eager to share it, whether we like it or not. Thank you for the passion and energy you bring to teaching. We wish you a speedy recovery and look forward to seeing you back in the classroom, probably shouting at somebody who used the term workload or fatigue incorrectly. And now, let's take a moment to thank those who made sure our student pilots wouldn't crash the plane, our test pilot instructors. Damien, with his love for physiotherapy and sugar-free desserts. JK, known for his sometimes extreme strictness on presentation timing, but always ready for a quick chat when you really need one. Russ, a master at staying calm and composed, whether facing an in-flight emergency or enduring 8 long hours in the OPA. Matteo, and his ability to brief, show you the flight test technique, debrief, give you a poor grade, and demand an espresso is prepared for him before you even have the chance to walk into his office. Though it wasn't always easy to see, the rigor you brought to our data flights wasn't about setting us up to fail. It was about preparing us to succeed. Thanks for never accepting anything than excellence from us. And what would a test pilot be without his trusty flight test engineers? Vikrant, Pedro, Jedza, you've taught us that while the test pilot may be the captain of the ship, FTEs that conduct the test are the admirals of the fleet, ensuring that testing is executed safely, efficiently, and with precision. You've made us realize that being an FTE is so much more than printing cards and collecting data. It's been an integral and fundamental part of the whole test campaign, from meticulous planning, making sure all the what-ifs are answered, or having the guts to tell a pilot with 10,000 plus flight hours, no, sir, you were not on condition. We'll have to fly that test point again. I'd also like to thank all the instructors who, even briefly, were part of our journey. JB, Manuela, Domenico, Andrea, Nicola, Lex, and Borja. We will always be grateful of your contribution to our academic and professional growth. To all the support staff of NTPS, Bri, Maria, Diane, Josh, Chris, Ava, and Veronica, together with all the maintenance staff of FRI. It is often overlooked just how important your role at this school truly is. Without your dedication and hard work, there would be no NTPS. Thank you for everything you've done for us, from navigating all the red tape, managing countless details behind the scenes, making sure the fleet was safe and ready to operate every time, to preparing those sweet end-of-module barbecues. Class of 2025 Alpha and 2025 Bravo. What lies ahead of you are months of intense studying, long hours in the cockpit, and countless challenges that will test your skill, patience, and determination. Never forget that there is a reason why you have been chosen to attend this elite school, and in no time, you will find yourself where your senior class stands now. Good luck with the rest of your journey here at NTPS. And finally, to my dear classmates of 2024 Bravo. With a diploma in our hand, a new patch on our flight suit, and our family and friends waiting for us back home, tonight we end this journey and we start a new chapter in our careers. We will slowly start to forget all the sleepless nights during our capstone, all the ugly debriefs with fudge, all the data cards, and all the test reports. What will remain are the friendships forged through long hours and shared challenges, the lessons that shaped us far beyond the classroom, and the new perspective with which we now approach every task. As we move forward in our careers, we will figure out that no report, no PowerPoint presentation, and no 7-part paragraph will ever fully capture what we built over the last 14 months. And though we may scatter across squadrons, centers, and companies, though our careers may take different shapes, our heading bug will always be set in the direction of progress and personal growth. Our memories will take us to those amazing days we spent together, and the peace of our hearts will be in this desert we will always refer to as our home. Thank you very much to everyone who has been part of this journey, and I wish you all a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you. And now I would like to invite Luca Campello and Jeff Trank to the stage to receive our parting gift.
Well, congratulations to all the graduates. Another round of applause for them, please. Come on. Like everybody said, thank you to Fudge, that tonight is not here with us. We have a minor surgery, but we'll be back soon. You can hear it's very quiet tonight, so that's one of the problems. But I hope he's listening to us, and we hope to see him soon. Thank you again for listening for an hour to Italian accent. And then I give you now Jeff for the closing remarks.
So what an amazing evening. It's such a privilege to be with you guys here tonight. My greatest responsibility and my favorite responsibility is being here and honoring and recognizing our graduates as they walk across the stage. But before I address the graduates, I would like to give a few words of thanks, starting with the Hellenic Center and the staff. Such a beautiful facility. The food's amazing. The service was amazing. If you have dessert left over, please bring it to my table. It was all superb. So please, a round of applause to the staff. Likewise, these events don't just happen by accident. There's a lot of work that goes in the background to, make everything come together with scheduling and arranging tables and arranging meals and arranging gifts. So my thanks to the administrative staff, to Bree, to Jennifer, to Diane, Maria, Veronica, all the graduate assistants. Thanks for your dedicated help to make this evening such a great success. Thank you. Likewise, as you heard just spoken now, everybody on the staff at NTPS plays a vital, essential role into bringing these students across the graduation stage. Whether you're launching aircraft, repairing aircraft, ordering parts, registering students, scheduling students, providing platform instruction, flying with the students, everyone has to, work together. And many of you put in many extra hours helping those students, and I really, really appreciate that. It's clear that you understand that the success of the students is directly linked to the success of the school. And so thank you for all you've done to make these students successful. I'd also like to thank Leif for your joining us from NASA and your timely words to the students. I think they'll remember those for some time. And finally, I'd like to thank all the guests here, the colleagues, the friends, the families that They travel in many cases thousands of miles. It means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot more to the students that you could join them and celebrate tonight. These are always special events, but the fact that you're here makes it even more special, so thank you. For the graduates, I just have three remarks. The first, everyone's probably heard me say, tonight we've given you a license to be professional test pilots and flight test engineers. What we've not done is given you a license to stop learning. Aviation and aerospace is always growing, always changing, always evolving. There's new aircraft, new systems, new technologies, and it's your job to learn and understand how those systems work and how they integrate and play together, because at the end of the day, it's all about safety. So always remember that part of your job is to continue learning. The second message, as we've heard earlier, you're in a very small but elite fraternity of flight testers. And I don't care where you go, what country you're from, what you fly, fixed wing or rotary wing, whether you're in the military or in the commercial business, but your paths will cross again. So I encourage you to stay in touch with one another. I encourage you to network with those who entered the fraternity before you, and share your experiences and share your lessons learned, because at the end of the day, this is all about safety. And so wherever you are, we have to have that common baseline. And finally, we heard some very poignant remarks about integrity, and I'd like to amplify those, because I would argue that integrity is more important than your ability as a test pilot or flight testing engineer. You can fly the absolute perfect data point, do the perfect analysis, write the perfect report, write perfect recommendations, but without integrity, those messages will be lost to your chain of command. So it's important that everything you do is done factually, without bias, and with integrity. And always, always, always remember, the only person that can give your integrity away is you. So with that, congratulations. I wish you blue skies and fair winds as you start your careers as test pilots and flight test engineers. I wish you Godspeed on your travels home. Please keep in touch, be safe, and have a great night. Thank you.
It's over? Sorry. So feel free to please take a picture here, all the classmates, everybody, instructor, friends. Please enjoy the evening, safe drive home, and enjoy this moment. Thank you.